YouTube fam, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tina and I make videos on lifestyle, home, and DIY projects every single week. Today is a really special day because as this video goes live, it's actually my birthday. I can't believe a whole year has gone by. Like, this past year has just been so amazing. It's just so crazy that a year of my life has gone by, and I've definitely grown so much since last year, and I'm just really excited for this next chapter. I just want to thank you guys for being here, and this next year is going to be so good, and I'm just really excited. Over the weekend, Brian and I did a little bit of birthday shopping, so I was going around buying some clothes, and I also went into some home decor shops. We went into West Elm, and they always have such amazing, cool things, but of course, they are a little bit pricey. So it's inspired me to create some DIY dupes for you guys. West Elm style is a little bit more modern, and I definitely want to start adding that more into my home. Even though I have a lot of boho going on, I really like to mix up my style, so I think this is going to be the perfect addition to my apartment. And today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, so I'll talk a little bit more about them later on. But for now, we're going to get onto my phone and pick out a few items that we're going to DIY. And I'm basically going to be looking at this real time, so I don't really have a plan per se, but we're gonna go through this DIY journey together. All right, so here we are on their website, and already I'm seeing so many amazing things. Like, look at this outdoor set, it's so pretty. I feel like West Elm always has some really cool sculptural pieces, so that's kind of what I'm aiming for today. Decorative objects and sculptures. That's what we're doing. Okay, I'm like trying to go through and see what is actually DIYable with things that I already have in my stash because I don't want to go out and buy more things. I really like these things. It says that they're terrazzo or terrazzo. I still don't know the pronunciation. I really like this triangle shape, and I think that that color looks really amazing. This would look really cute on my DIY shelf or on a coffee table like they have styled here. Okay, so 30 bucks, on sale for $28.50, but it looks pretty small, and I feel like we could definitely DIY something like this, so I'm gonna screenshot it. And this is gonna be the first project that we'll work on. So next I wanna make something that has like round edges. So probably an arch. Ooh, these are so cute, these decorative arches. I've actually seen these a lot on TikTok. If you guys have seen Sienna Studios, they have a similar object and those are super cute. Ooh, wait, it is on sale for $6 right now. But we can make it for cheaper because I already have the items in my stash. So this is gonna be the second project that we'll work on, and I'm really excited for it. Okay, so we have our two projects. Let me go over to my DIY station, gather my materials, and let's get started. All right, welcome to my DIY table. It is pretty messy because I haven't cleaned it since the last project I've done. Also, if you guys are wondering what this is, it's actually my new phone stand. So I got one that's a lot more sturdy, and I really like it so far, so I've been testing it out, and so far so good. So for this first project, we're just gonna need some minimal materials. So my giant box of cement. You guys already know I bought a 25-pound box. This has lasted me such a long time, and I'm trying to use it up, so I'm definitely going to be using this for this project. And we'll also be using some cardboard, and yesterday I literally just recycled a bunch of my cardboard, but luckily I did save one box because it was pretty, so I kind of just hold on to those for a little bit longer. So I have this one right here, and that's all we really need for this project. I'm also going to be using acrylic paints. At least I think that's all the materials we're gonna get started, but voiceover Tina will let you know if anything goes awry. So let's do this. Hello, from voiceover Tina. I wanted to challenge myself to create a mold with cardboard that's a little bit more complex than what I've created in the past. So I made a template right on Canva, and I just printed it out. And originally I was going to draw a triangle by hand, but I figured I would work smarter and not harder, and this would also be the best way just to get the correct angles and the perfect circle in the middle. So once that's all cut out, I went ahead and just traced it onto the cardboard, and then I used an X-Acto knife to cut out 2 of these triangles, and this is going to be the front and the back side of the mold. These were looking pretty good, so I made sure to mark the pieces so I knew exactly where each one was going. And for the circle in the middle, I thought that I could use a toilet paper roll and this was going to be perfect. I did have to unravel it to fit since the hole was a bit smaller, but since the paper is already rolled up, this works great just to give it that circular shape. And to keep it in place, I used packing tape at first, which I don't think was the best for this project, so I switched it up and did use a different type of tape later. And when it came to the sides, I just cut out some rectangular pieces for 2 edges, and we're gonna leave the third side open to pour the cement. So I found some electrical tape in my stash, and this actually worked really well just to hold everything together. And when you're DIYing a mold, you just wanna make sure that everything is as tight as possible to avoid any leakage. And I'm not going to lie, I was very nervous for this project to work out. This is definitely the type of project where it was a lot of trial and error and just testing out to see if it would work. And after finessing it and taping everything together, here's how our mold is looking. So now it's time to mix up our cement, and the ratio that works best for me is 4:1 of cement to water. And you want this to kind of be a pancake consistency, and it should be easy enough to pour, but if it's too watery, you could be compromising the integrity of the cement and it's going to break a lot easier, so you want something in between. For the cement that I have, it dries as a very cool tone gray, so I wanted to lighten it up by adding in some acrylic paint. So I mixed in a few shades of some light neutral tones, and something to keep in mind with cement is that it's always going to dry a little bit lighter. I also wanted to see if I can get some stone pieces to show up in the actual cement, so I poured in these little glass filler pieces. And if you try this method out, you definitely don't want your cement to be super watery because then it'll all sink to the bottom. So I think the consistency that I had here was just right. To keep the mold in place, I actually put it inside of a container, and then I just poured the cement right into the mold, and at this point I felt pretty confident that the mold is going to work since I didn't notice anything was breaking or leaking. So I made sure to use my popsicle just to make sure that it got into all the little corner pieces, and once we got to the top, I just shook it up a little bit to release any air bubbles, and then I left it to dry completely. So once it was ready, it was time for the moment of truth, and I just removed the tape, and to my surprise, it came off and left the concrete looking really smooth. Some of the paper did get stuck to the cement, but it was pretty easy just to take it off. If you do notice that your paper is getting too stuck onto your cement, you can always wet it and then that's gonna come right off. It's looking a little rough around the edges, so now it is time for sanding. So I was trying to see if I can sand enough to get the glass pieces to peek through, and you'll see that I was successful in a couple areas, but honestly, I was worried that some of the pieces would chip off as I was sanding it, and it was also going to take a lot of elbow grease, so I ended up just sanding it as usual and smoothed it all out. I would love to try a more stony look in the future, so if you guys have any suggestions on how I can achieve that look, please let me know in the comments below. As much as I'm teaching you guys new techniques and project ideas in my videos, I am always learning just as much from you guys. So I want to take a moment here just to thank you guys for always writing such helpful tips for me and supporting me and just learning along with me as I try out all these different projects. I still wanted to create a similar look to the original and add some texture, so we're gonna create some speckling right onto the cement with some good old acrylic paint. So you'll see that I'm splattering it right onto the surface, but I'm kind of doing a whipping motion just to get more linear speckling in there. And I'm also using more than one color here just to add some dimension. To seal this baby up, we're gonna add 2 layers of polyurethane right on top, and then we're just gonna let that sit to dry. It was a bit of a journey to get here, but I think that we were pretty successful at creating a dupe of the original piece with just some cement and cardboard. It was so much fun just to challenge myself to create my own mold, and I also hope this inspires you guys to do the same, even if it's a completely different design. And this makes me really excited because I can totally see myself doing this project again to create some more custom pieces for my home. So before we move on to the next project, I wanted to talk about today's video sponsor, Skillshare. And if you've been following along with my channel, you guys know that I've been taking Skillshare classes every single month. And if you're not already familiar with Skillshare, they are an online learning community filled with thousands of classes for learners at any skill level. And this month I am challenging myself to learn more about embroidery. I only know how to do a few stitches right now, so I've been learning a lot from this class. So the class that I'm taking right now is called Painting with Thread, Modern Embroidery for Beginners with Danielle Clef, and her work is seriously so amazing. I hope that I can get to her level one day. I'm still in the middle of taking lessons right now, but hopefully by the end of this I will show you guys a really amazing DIY project. And if you guys are interested in checking out Skillshare, make sure to click on the link down below in my description box to get a free trial of their premium membership. Alright, so let's go ahead and get back to my DIY station and work on the second project. So for the next project, I actually picked up this napkin holder from Dollar Tree over the weekend, and the shape of this actually looks a little bit different than the original one that we have at West Elm, but I think I like the shape a lot better. And that's what's so great about DIY, you can just personalize it and make it your own. So I think this is gonna work out perfectly. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other materials and we can get started on this project. I went into my colored polymer clay stash for this next project, and I had so much of this brownish pink color left, so I decided to use this and lighten it up by mixing in some white. And this is also a great trick because you can add more volume to your clay without adding in more colored clay, which can be a bit pricey, so this saves you a little bit of coin as well. So originally, my plan for this project was to roll out a long coil and then take that to cover the arches. This was my first time attempting to do this, and I've always wanted to try wrapping polymer clay around a metal object. Most metal objects will be fine in the oven with polymer clay. The trick here is just to make sure that the clay is sticking to itself, just because it may not adhere to the metal well. So that's why you'll see that I'm wrapping the whole thing around it. But unfortunately, after a couple of tries, it was just not working how I wanted it to. I could not get the clay to be even for the life of me, and it was just lumpy, and the perfectionist in me was just not feeling how this project was going. So honestly, I was going to scrap this project idea altogether, but I really didn't want to give up. I wanted to find another solution to somehow make this work. So I just took all the clay off, and then I rolled a slab about 3 popsicle sticks high. And once that was even, I took the napkin holder and then I just pushed it right into the clay, just enough so that the metal would be embedded in it. And from there, I cut off the sides by using a popsicle stick to create a straight line, and then I just used my X-Acto knife after that. So now you guys can see that the metal bars are kind of peeking through. So I'm just using my fingers and a popsicle stick to smooth over this, and this worked out really well. I also had the help of some rubbing alcohol, and this made it look so seamless. So at this point, all hope was not lost. I was a lot happier with how it was looking, and I actually started feeling more excited about it than my original idea. And this just goes to show that some project ideas don't always work out 100% of the time, and that's totally okay. With the help of time lapses and jump cuts in my videos, I feel like I'm guilty of making some projects look way easier than they actually are. And even the projects that seem the most simple, like this one for example, they actually take so much time and effort. So I definitely wanted to bring you guys along this entire process to share what I've learned after trying it out for myself and failing. It's definitely worth the effort just to try again until something works out for you, and I really hope this encourages you all to continue to create even when things don't go your way. So this is looking pretty cute. We're just gonna go ahead and make sure that the edges are looking nice and smooth, and it's ready for the oven. And again, since this holder is 100% metal, it is totally fine to bake, so I popped it into the oven at 275 degrees for 15 minutes. So after baking and cooling it down, I went through a couple of spray paint options for the metal part. This terracotta color was a little bit too close to the clay color, and I also really liked how this light peony color complemented the clay, but ultimately I went for khaki for a bright pop of color. I taped off all the clay parts with some masking tape, and this definitely would have been so much easier just to spray paint the metal part before adding on the clay, but I don't think it would have been safe to put that into the oven, although I have seen people say online that they've done that before, so if anyone knows otherwise, please let me know in the comments. And I know that this piece is going to look different than the original, but I'm really glad that I was able to make it my own and customize it to colors that are going to make me super happy. I gave it a nice light sanding on just the metal parts, and then I sprayed 2 coats of khaki by Rust-Oleum, and after that I also followed up with a clear top coat. I removed all the tape, and this was actually looking pretty good. I didn't have to do any additional sanding to the clay, and after a whole journey with this project, it is now complete. Our new arch gives off such a fun retro vibe, and this would be a great decorative piece for your home, but since it is a holder, it can also be functional as well. So I can imagine this holding mail in an entryway, or also a really fun way to organize your paper goods. And I'm so glad that I did not scrap this project idea because I think it came out so cute. I I'm beyond happy that these projects came out so good, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit nervous that it wasn't going to turn out great, but I'm really glad that we went for it. I would love to know in the comments down below which one that you guys liked best, and if you guys plan on doing any of these techniques. And if you guys do recreate any of these projects, make sure to tag me on Instagram. I also post on there every single day so that you guys can follow along over there as well. And a huge shout out to everyone who has been tagging me in their Instagram photos. I will put them on the screen here. Thank you so much for sharing your creativity with me. And also a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. If you're interested in checking them out and getting a free trial of their premium membership, make sure to click on the link down below in my description box. Alright, so that's it for today's video. I am officially a 28-year-old woman, so I'm gonna go spend my day outside, probably watering my plants. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!